Gave an interview with Detective Hardy, then he hands over his phone to Detective Lynch, who downloaded the phone while the interview was going on. These records show that Ms. Elvis was in contact with Mr. Stevens by cell phone on December 16th, on December 17th. That's the crucial period that we're discussing in this case. Specifically, they're making plans for the next day, and that would have been during the period when she's allegedly gone missing. So that's why we were bringing this evidence in, to show that the state did not investigate Mr. Stevens further because he fell within the time period in issue.
Was that an issue too, that they were making plans for the next day? Because we already have testimony from one of the witnesses that they planned to meet the next day, as I recall, for a date. So what's the, other than being cumulative, that she was making plans for the next day, what's the significance of it?
Well, Your Honor, it shows that the police did not investigate this more thoroughly. The issue is they have the text, there is the communication, there is a plan for them to meet during the period at issue, and the police did not go further.
And you have asked that question persistently and consistently to every investigating officer, as I understand, as I recall, you didn't investigate these people, correct?
That's correct, but this is the person that actually did the most investigation of this person in this case.
Well, I understand it, but he's already testified, and
Yes, he has.
and you've asked him, did you investigate this person? And he said no more than what he said no.
Well, at the time, I think he was testifying about other cell records.
Why is this testimony, again, what's the significance, the relevance of this testimony that is not mere cumulative evidence? That number one, y'all have raised this throughout this entire trial, as I recall, that there were possible other people that they should have done. I mean, you asked, did you download them? Did you interview them? Did you bring them in? There were various sundry questions that would suggest that they should have investigated. What else does just simply putting in the record say that they existed? Okay, so what?
We're trying to demonstrate to the jury the extent of the investigation that was done and whether more should have been done on this person.
All right, so that's the reason for this additional evidence, correct?
Yes.
It has nothing to do with third party here.
No, sir. Except for the fact that he should have been investigated.
Well, but that doesn't suggest third party here.
Right.
It's just there could have been somebody else in the world that did this, but we know that that's not a defense. You can't use that. You can, unless you can point specifically to something. And that's the reason it's required, because obviously I had a matter in Charleston about a year ago that I couldn't believe the indictment had this. We've looked at it, and this is the only person we can find that could have possibly, that would have any reason to do this. That language is just okay, but that doesn't exclude other people. And you've mentioned that throughout this, that there could be other people that she was with. I believe it was Mr. Boucher was asking about the altercation, or maybe it was you that was asking about the black eye, who suggested that she was having problems with another person who she wasn't with Mr. Moore at that point in time.
Yes, sir. That was Jeremy Clinton.
But the bottom line is, you've got, what I'm saying is that there are other people. If the purpose of this is just that there were other people, that's cumulative. It's not necessary. And I would sustain the objection. First of all, this was done by another person.
Yes, sir.
The Celebrate report, which they wanted to introduce.
The Celebrate report was done by Will Lynch that
That's right.
testified earlier.
And he's going to call who? Will Lynch?
That's
Yes, sir.
Mr. Gilmore.
And you want to ask him,
He's the North Myrtle Beach detective.
I understand, you want to ask him, did he run a Celebrate report? And he did.
Yes, sir. And the times of the communications between those two phone numbers, whether or not they did any follow-up as far as location information on that cell phone.
That doesn't suggest anything. What's the prejudice for the state?
I think the only reason why they would want to get into the content of those messages is to try to indicate maybe this guy killed him.
They've already suggested it could be other people. From what I'm hearing is that she had, in addition to the plans that she was making with Chiralty, thank you, Chiralty, which was clearly testified to that she had other plans, which would be further reason that somebody did something unlawful, that she was planning to do things the next day.
Yes, sir, Your Honor, and I just want to be candid with the court. It wasn't that they were making any plans. She had texted him 2 or 3 times, and the guy just never texted back.
That's fine. If there's no response, that's even more beneficial to the state. There wasn't any contact.
Right.
I really, it's cumulative, but if they want to put it in, obviously, I'm not going to allow them to argue that, the third party guilt.
Okay.
And I'm certainly not going to charge third party guilt at this stage. So, if you want to call them to testify that she made some contact with or texted somebody that never responded, that's fine.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Now, before we bring them out, as I've been advised that Mr. Moore, you've had further conversation with Mr. Moore, and let the record reflect that he's been present throughout this entire conversation, and that he has, at least at this point, made a decision not to testify. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Moore, you may welcome to remain standing, or if you're more comfortable being seated, please feel free to do either one. But you have had the opportunity to further discuss with your counsel your right to testify and not to testify, sir.
Yes, sir.
And after further consultation, it's your decision, at least at this point, not to testify. Is that true?
Yes, sir.
And we've been through this before, on 2 occasions at least, that you understand I will charge this jury that they cannot consider that against you in any fashion, as I've already done, but I will reiterate that to my final charge, you understand?
Yes, sir.
But that notwithstanding, you have the right to testify, and you understand that as well.
Yes, sir.
But if you did, of course, you'd be subject to cross-examination just as every witness is been. And at this point, you made this decision. Is there any threats or promises or under any undue pressure affecting your decision, sir?
I wasn't expecting
Oh,
that.
I know. And I understand that this is a very pressure-filled situation. If I'm meeting with all the lawyers, people were asking, and I said, it's a very, you can almost palpably feel the tension in this room. And it's understandable. It truly is understandable. I'm not faulting anybody. What both sides have endured is just incredible. But that pressure aside, you've had sufficient time to think about this.
Yes, sir.
And this is your decision that you made freely and voluntarily, sir.
Yes, sir.
And are you satisfied with the manner in which your attorneys have advised you concerning this matter?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. What I'm going to do, you can proceed, sir. I'll accept that as being your final answer, and what will confirm that, I think we did this the last 2 times. Whenever we call this witness, and when that witness is finished, I'm going to ask your attorneys if there are any additional witnesses, and if they, assuming that you stand by your decision, they will say defense rests, or something similar to that. At that time, that decision will be final, you understand?
Yes, sir.
If you change your mind, which you have every right to do, just indicate that to one of your attorneys and we'll excuse the jury, and I'll be happy to have further discussion with you, sir. But if I don't hear from you, I'm going to bank on that decision, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. All right, state ready?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And defense is ready.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's bring in our jury, please. As I understand from my conversation, that the state does intend to call one reply witness, as I recall.
Potentially 2.
That's fine. I mean, as I told you, I'm not holding you, but you do have a reply.
Yes, sir.
There you go. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you had a good day yesterday and productive for you. I understand it interrupted the continuity of this, but I appreciate your patience with the board in that respect. As we have done, I need to ask you if each of you will be able to solemnly swear or affirm that you have honored the court's instruction throughout this day off, so to speak, and have not, in addition to that general instruction, have not specifically talked with anyone about anybody, talked with you about it, or read any accounts or viewed any accounts of this. If you can make that commitment, say I do.
I do.
Any member unable to make that commitment, please raise your hand. Thank you again for your conscientious approach to this process. Ask you to give your attention now to the next witness, and if this defendant wishes to present any additional witnesses.
Your Honor, defense will call Detective Will Lynch.
Very well.
Please raise your right hand, place your left hand on the Bible. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the evidence you're about to give the court in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Please be seated. Okay, state your full name and spell your last name.
Will Lynch, Lynch.
Detective Lynch, you testified previously in this case?
I did.
And at that time, you said you were a detective with the North Myrtle Beach Department?
Yes,
North
sir.
Myrtle Beach Police Department?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That hasn't changed in the last few days, has it?
It has not.
And I think you previously testified that you were also assigned to the Drug Enforcement Unit?
That is correct.
And you testified that you worked on this case, this investigation also, correct?
Yes, I did.
What was your role in working on this case?
To do cell phone extractions on a couple of cell phones.
And you testified previously about some of the cell phone extractions?
I did.
Did you have an occasion to do a cell phone extraction on a phone belonging to a Jerry Stevens?
I did.
And let me ask you about this phone. Did he voluntarily turn it over, or did the police have a search warrant?
I'm not actually familiar with how the phone came into the police department's custody.
Not your department?
Correct, not my department.
But just to be clear, you did an extraction on a phone belonging to Jerry Stevens?
Yes.
When did you do this extraction, sir?
I was given the information August of 2014 is what I was told.
And you did this extraction at the request of the Horry County Police Department?
I would have, yes.
All right. Did you get a report from Cellbrite based on this extraction?
I would have generated a report through Cellbrite, that's correct.
Okay. Did you bring that report with you to court today?
Typically, when I do an extraction for another agency, I don't generate a report for myself. I would have given that report through some type of media device, a thumb drive or external hard drive, to the agency.
Yes, sir. May I approach, Your Honor?
You may, sir.
Detective Lynch, let me hand you what's been marked for identification purposes only as Defense Exhibit Number 10 and ask you, is that the Cellbrite report that you generated as a result of downloading Jerry Stevens' phone?
I have looked at this report briefly. When you generate a report for Cellbrite, there's basically a cover page or a contents page, and it will tell you, it will give you some description of the cell phone, the time, date that the phone was extracted. It also says who extracted the cell phone. Now, I've briefly looked through this. I don't see that cover page on here, but I was given information today that my name is on a report for Jerry Stevens. So I can't say if this is the same one, but I was given the information that I did do an extraction on Jerry Stevens' cell phone.
Would you refute that that is the cell phone extraction for Jerry Stevens?
I cannot refute that.
All right. were you able to extract telephone call data off of Mr. Stevens' phone?
Yes.
Okay. Now, were you able to extract text message data off of Mr. Stevens' phone?
Yes, that is correct.
Were you able to recover any deleted messages off of Mr. Stevens' phone?
Yes.
So when we talk about messages, there are two types of messages basically. The ones that are on the phone, correct?
Correct.
And the ones that have been deleted but recovered by Cellbrite software.
Sure, yes.
Okay. And you had both types of messages in this case?
Yes, in this report it does indicate there were some messages that were deleted.
Okay. Now, were you able to find that Mr. Stevens' phone was in contact with 843-997-8152, Ms. Elvis's phone?
Yes, sir.
Sir, let me hand you what's been marked for identification purposes as Defense Exhibit number 9. And I ask you, is that a summary of certain pages from the Cellbrite download report, Defense Exhibit number 10?
Yes, it is.
So that would also be the report that you downloaded for Jerry Stevens' phone?
Yes, that is correct.
Your Honor, at this time, I would move Defense Exhibits number 9 and 10 into evidence.
The objection other than that, which we previously argued,
As long as the court finds that the proper foundation was laid.
he's justified that he did. So I'll admit that. 9 and 10.
Sir, just for brevity's sake, I'm going to take this one off your hands. But I'm going to ask you to direct your attention to page 19912.
That's a defense, no.
Yes, sir. I apologize.
That's no problem.
I'm there.
Did you find that there were texts between Jeremy Stevens' phone and Heather Elvis's phone on that exhibit?
Yes.
Let's go with the first text. What is the first text that you have between those two telephones? What is the date and time on that text?
So on this report, again, I discussed about having to convert time. On this report, it says 12/16/2013 at 4:37 a.m. But at that point in time, you would have to subtract 5 hours. So you'd actually be going back to the 15th, around 11:37 p.m. on the 15th.
Okay. So they've been in contact as of December 15th, 11 p.m.
Yes.
Okay. Now direct your attention to page 19913 of the same exhibit, line number 17. Is that a message between those two telephones, Mr. Elvis's phone and Mr. Stevens' phone?
Yes, it is.
And what is the date on that message?
So the date on that message is December 16th. It shows 9:11 a.m. Again, you subtract 5 hours, so it would be 4:11 a.m. on the 16th of December.
Now, was that a phone message, or excuse me, a phone call, or a text message?
It was a text message from 997-8152.
So this is an incoming message to Jerry Stevens' phone
Correct.
on December 16th at 4 a.m.
4:11 a.m. Yes, that's
4:11
correct.
a.m. All right. Now, if you don't mind, could you publish that message to the jury? Tell us what it says.
The message
Your Honor,
says,
this time the state just objects that you're saying.
It's coming from that business record he produced overruled.
the text message says, "Boo-hoo, go to sleep then, but I'm having you tomorrow."
And sir, I'd like to direct your attention back to page 19912, line number 62. Do you see line number 62, sir?
I do.
And is that a text message between Jeremy Stevens' phone and Heather Elvis' phone?
It is.
And what is the date on that message?
Date on that message shows 12/16/2013 at 4:53 a.m. So you'd have to back it up to 12:15 at 11:53 p.m. So it would be the message from 997-8152 actually occurred at 11:53 p.m. on the 15th.
Okay, now is that a phone call or a text message?
That is a text message.
And can you tell the jury the content of that message?
I can. The text message says, well, tomorrow night I'm showing up at your front door naked, so get ready.
Are these the only two messages between those two phone numbers?
No, sir.
Would it be fair to say that there are several messages between those two phone numbers?
Yes.
Now, as a result of this extraction, did you do any further investigation into Jeremy Stevens?
I would not have.
Now, your job was to do the extraction and pass on the report.
To the investigating agency, yes, that's correct.
That's correct. Hold on 1 second, Detective. Detective Lynch, when did you do this cell phone extraction again, sir?
I was advised that I did the extraction in August of 2014. I've heard two stories of actually when I did this extraction. I cannot honestly say when the extraction was done.
Okay. And when did Miss Elvis disappear?
Early morning hours of December 18th, 2013.
Thank you, sir. Please answer any questions the state has for you.
Thank you.
You may cross-examine.
Yes, sir, Your Honor, a few questions.
Sure.
Mr. Lynch, if you don't mind, I'm going to ask you to step down with that report. From that report, are you able to know what Jerry Stevens' phone number was that was communicating with Heather?
Not from this report, no.
Okay, so there's no way to tell the phone number as to and from it was going?
No, it just says, it has a to and from, but it's the number that this person is communicating with, not the actual phone it's coming from.
Okay, so there's no way for you to know from that report what Mr. Stevens' phone number is?
Correct.
The report that you normally generate have that information?
It would be on that cover page.
Okay, so is this not a complete copy of the report?
No.
Okay. If I showed you a complete copy of the report, would you then be able to recognize what the phone number was?
Sure.
Okay.
Yes.
And without the phone number, you can't really tell us if he had contact with her on the 17th and 18th from any kind of phone records, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Your Honor, this time we're going to need just a minute to give Mr. Lynch the full report. But you're saying what you got here is not the full report.
Correct.
Okay.
It's just an excerpt.
Go ahead and have a seat, Mr. Lynch. She's going to work on getting you the full report. Now, from the portion of the report you're looking at now, were there any text messages between Heather Elvis and Jerry Stevens on 12/18/2013.
The report that I'm actually looking at, the last date on it actually is only up to it shows the 17th, but when you do subtraction, it's only the late hours of the 16th, based on what they've given me.
Okay, so you don't have the 17th or the 18th?
I don't.
Okay. We can get you that as well, Mr.
Okay.
Lynch. So the date that you have there stops on the 16th?
It stops at 11 p.m. on the 16th.
Okay, but you would agree with me, certainly that is not the full report that you did?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. And have you actually seen the full report you did?
No.
Okay. Have you seen portions of the full report?
I have.
Okay. And tell this jury who showed you that.
Well, I saw portions of it from you.
Okay. And when I showed it to you, did I show you that front page to show you that you were the examiner and when it was extracted?
I believe you did.
Okay. But the copy you have in front of you doesn't have that information.
That is correct.
Okay. Now, do you know whether or not the police ever spoke with Jerry Stevens?
I don't know that.
Okay. And the only thing you did was just to dump his cell phone.
That is correct.
Okay. And that was done sometime in 2014.
Yes.
Okay. One second, Your Honor. I thought the full report had been entered in. So we just,
He said it was in only a certain portion of it when he introduced it. He didn't say it was a full report.
let me show you now what's defense evidence number 10. Did this come in, Natalie?
Yes.
Okay, good. Does this include the 17th and 18th?
It does.
Okay. Now, can you look then at the full report and tell me if there was any contact between Heather Elvis and Jerry Stevens on the 18th?
On the 18th?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I do not see the 997-8152 number on here at all.
Okay, so you don't see any contact between the victim and Jerry Stevens' phone on the 18th,
No,
December
ma'am.
18th, 2013?
No, ma'am.
How about December 17th of 2013?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Can you look at that report, since he didn't reach out to her on the 17th or 18th, and tell me the last time Jerry Stevens reached out to our victim, Heather Elvis?
The last time, based on this report, would have been at 4:11 a.m. on December 16th.
Okay, and is that the converted time?
That is the converted time. It
Okay.
shows 9/11, but you would convert it to
Okay.
5/11.
Sure,
Excuse me,
that-
4/11.
The last time he reached out to her was December 16th.
And actually, he didn't reach out to her. That was an incoming message from her to him.
Okay, when was the last time he reached out to her?
Again, it was the early morning hours of the 16th at 4:06 a.m.
Okay. And that was the last time him and her spoke was on the 16th?
In the early morning hours, yes.
Okay, okay. Mr. Lynch, we're trying to get that first page for you. Let me ask you something. Can you see the contents of the text messages between the two of them?
I can.
And do any of them indicate that they had been deleted? Between him and her?
It doesn't appear there's any messages that were deleted between the two of them.
Okay, so none of those messages were deleted?
Correct.
Okay. And from the report, the last time they had contact was the 16th?
Correct.
Okay. And who reached out to who last?
Heather reached out to Jerry last.
Okay. Okay. And have you read all those messages from the 16th?
I've just briefly heard them. I haven't read them
Okay.
per se word for word, but I have briefly looked over them.
Okay. And Mr. Galmore asked you about the message where I think you read it said, I'm coming over tomorrow night.
I did read that.
Okay. And did Mr. Stevens ever respond to that? Was there any meeting of the mind?
There was a response to that particular text message. It just said, ha, 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 ha.
Okay. Let me show you now what's been marked, states 202. You recognize what I'm showing you now?
This would be the cover sheet for a typical phone extraction, which would show the date, time, type of phone, and who the examiner was.
Okay, and does that indicate that you indeed were the examiner?
It does indicate my name is the examiner.
Okay, and is that the first 2 pages off that report?
It is.
Your Honor, this time the state wishes to put 202 in evidence.
Just a moment, Your Honor. Sure. No objection, sir.
Very well, without objection, states 202 is submitted.
Thank you. From this report, Mr. Lynch, can you now give us what Jerry Stevens' phone number was?
843.
Hold on 1 second.
755-0749.
Now, Mr. Lynch, I want you to step down and look at these phone records you've already seen. And these are for the morning of the 18th.
What's that exhibit? Sure.
Tell me,
Your slide said, what's that exhibit number?
I'm sorry, Judge, it is 5.
Thank you.
Showing you now 5. Do you see Jerry Stevens' phone number anywhere on her records the morning of December 18th? I'm sorry, I'll hold it.
I do not see it.
Okay, so there's, his phone number isn't anywhere on her records from December 18th.
No, ma'am.
And his Celebrate report indicates he didn't talk to her on the 17th or the 18th.
That's correct.
And none of the messages had been deleted between the two of them, correct?
Correct.
If you don't mind, have a seat, Mr. Lynch. Now, do you know the last 3 messages from Heather to Jerry Stevens on the 16th?
I mean, I can look at the report here.
Thank you.
I can see those.
Okay, and what do those messages say? What do they say?
The last 3 messages starts with, that's not what I asked, but okay, smartass. And then the next message is, beat yo. And then the next message is, boo-hoo, go to sleep then, but I'm having you tomorrow.
Okay, are there any messages after that?
No,
And does he ever respond to that?
no,
Okay. And he never talks to her on the 17th or the 18th?
no.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Redirect, no.
Very briefly, Your Honor. Detective Lynch, now that you have had a chance to look at State's Exhibit 202, can you confirm that you indeed did a cell phone download extraction of Jerry Stevens' phone?
I did on August 1st of 2014.
Okay. And the content of the extractions, as you previously testified to, was that content accurate?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. No further questions.
Recross.
No, sir, Your Honor.
Thank you. Next, you may step down. You wish this witness to be excused then?
Please, Your Honor. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
Any objection?
Ain't no objection, Judge.
You are free to leave.
Can we just leave this up?
Just give me that. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Force of habit, Your Honor. I understand. No problem. It happens. Any additional witnesses from the defense?
Your Honor, this time the defense rests.
Very well. Are there any reply witnesses?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
We have to make proceed. Call you first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. This time the state calls Jerry Stevens.
Okay.
Please raise your right hand, place your left hand on the Bible. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the evidence you're about to give the court in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Please be seated.
Mr. Stevens, where are you currently employed?
I work for a restaurant company in Myrtle Beach.
Okay, and do you have any children?
Yes,
How many?
2,
And how old are they?
21 and 10.
Okay, and do you live here in Horry County?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you always lived in Horry County?
Since I was about 4.
Okay. And do you know the defendant in this case, Sidney Moore?
No, other ones on news and stuff like that.
Okay. And did you know Heather Ellis?
Yes.
And how did you know her?
We were friends and we also worked together.
Okay. Now, there's been some discussion before you came in here about your contact with her in December of 2013. If you don't mind, first of all, confirm to this jury what your phone number was at that time.
843-455-0749.
Okay. And I'm going to show you states 5 and tell me if you see your phone number on this. This is Heather's phone records from the early morning, December 18, 2013.
No.
Okay. Did you have any contact with her on December 18th?
Not that I'm aware of. It's possible. I can't remember. It's been a long time, so.
When was the last time you saw the victim that you remember?
Probably a week or 2 before everything came up.
Okay, a week or 2 before she went
She was
missing. Okay. And how did you find out she went missing?
the news and just hear telephone friends and stuff like that.
Okay. Had you any intentions to see her on the 17th or the 18th?
No.
Okay. And at that time, were you?
Yeah, we're friends.
Okay. Was there any animosity between the two of them?
Absolutely not. No.
Okay. During the month of December 2013, did you ever call the victim from a payphone?
No.
Okay. Did you ever purchase a pregnancy test?
No.
Did you talk with her at all the morning of December 2018?
Not that I'm aware of.
Now, at the time, what kind of vehicle did you drive, Mr. Sidney?
Honda Ridgeline truck.
A what?
Honda truck.
What kind of truck?
A Honda Ridgeline.
Okay. Did it have 4 doors on it?
Yes.
Okay. And what color was it?
Green.
Okay. And was your truck anywhere on Highway 814 or Mill Pond on December 18th?
No.
Okay. And were you ever around the area of Peachtree Lane?
No.
Do you know where Heather Elvis is?
No.
Are you responsible in any way for why she's gone missing since
Absolutely
December
not.
18th?
No.
Okay. Now, do you know those 2 attorneys sitting over there, Mr. Galmore and Mr. Boucher?
No.
Have they ever contacted you?
No.
Have they ever gone over anything with you about your phone report?
No.
Now, have you talked to the police?
Yes.
How many times?
Twice.
Okay. And how did the police get your phone?
I gave it to them with me.
Okay. And so they never had to get a search warrant?
No.
And did you talk with them every time they wanted to talk to you?
Mm-hmm.
Did
Both
you
times.
delete any messages off your phone between you and Heather to keep them from the police?
No.
No further questions for this witness, Your Honor.
You may cross-examine. Yeah.
Mr. Stevens, you said that you had 2 occasions to speak with the police, is that right?
Correct.
When did these interviews take place?
One was at my workplace, and then they called me and asked me to come into the police station for an interview as well.
Would they have been like within a day or 2 of each other?
No, it was within, I don't think, a week or 2.
Okay. Do you know when these interviews took place?
No, off the top of my head, and I spent quite some time.
Do you recall if it would have been in 2013 or if it was in 2014?
No, I don't.
Okay. And I think you testified the first interview took place at your place of work?
Correct.
Okay. Which officer spoke with you, or if you recall?
It was a blonde lady, I believe she was county.
Then after that interview, they called you and asked you to come in for another interview?
Correct.
Okay. And where did that interview take place?
I guess courthouse on the main street over there.
Okay. I think it might have been the police headquarters, M.L. Brown building?
Whenever was that?
Yes, by the post office.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, all right. Do you know if that interview was recorded?
I don't know.
Okay. But you did do an interview at the M.L. Brown building?
Correct.
At the request of the police department?
Correct.
Do you recall how many detectives were in the room talking with you?
Two.
You don't happen to know their names. I know it was some time ago.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not trying to hold you to it. It was 6 years ago. And did you provide the police with their telephone number?
Yeah, I gave them my actual cell phone to download, yes.
Okay, so you gave them the phone and your phone number.
Yes.
Yes.
Do you know what they did with your phone?
No.
Did they give your phone back to you the same day?
Yes, it was sometime after the interview, but I got the phone back the same day.
So basically, while you were being interviewed, the police had your phone, and then they gave it back after the interview was over.
A little while after the interview was over, yes.
Now, this interview, you said you went into the police department voluntarily, right? Did they have you to sign a Miranda form?
I'm not aware of it. I can't remember.
Do you know what I'm talking about when I say Miranda form?
The Miranda rights?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't remember if they gave you your Miranda rights in advance?
No.
Okay. Do you recall if you had sexual contact with Miss Elvis in the week or two preceding her disappearance?
Not within a week or two.
Okay, well, when would that have been, sir?
I couldn't give you a date on that.
We look at December 17th of 2013 as the date that she disappeared. Can you extrapolate backwards to when was the last time you had sexual contact with Miss Elvis?
Maybe two weeks.
2 weeks.
I'm not sure. No.
Okay, so 2 weeks, around 2 weeks before December 17th.
Correct.
All right. Did you give that information to the police?
Yes.
You did?
Yes.
Okay. Now, did the police request a DNA swab from you?
No.
No. So you sat down and interviewed with the police officers. You gave them your cell phone, and you told them that you had been in a sexual relationship with her within the past 2 weeks.
Yes.
But they did not ask you for a DNA swab.
No.
I think you said you got your phone back.
Yes.
If you had been asked for a DNA swab, would you have provided one?
Yeah.
Now, after this interview, did the police come to your house and inspect your home and property?
No.
No. Did the police take any DNA, clothing, or any items from your home?
No.
Have you ever been to Heather Elvis's house?
No.
Did the police search your car?
No.
Have you ever been in Miss Elvis's car?
No.
And we've had testimony that there was text messages between Miss Elvis and yourself, or I guess mostly on Miss Elvis's part, trying to arrange some kind of date,
Meeting.
a meeting. Would that be accurate?
Yeah.
Would it be fair to say that it was mostly on Miss Elvis's part?
Correct.
did you indicate at any time that, I think you told Ms. Livesay that your truck was not on Highway 814 and it was not on Mill Pond Road, correct?
Correct.
During your interview with the police, did you tell them that on the 17th you were at a friend's house on Highway 707?
Yes.
And the 17th is the time period in which Ms. Elvis went missing.
Right.
Thank you, sir. No further questions.
Read a record.
Yes, sir. Just a couple questions, Mr. Stevens. When you talked to the police, Mr. Galmore was asking you about that at the ML Brown. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Were you truthful with the police?
Absolutely.
And did you tell them what you're telling this jury today?
Correct.
Okay? And Mr. Galmore asked you about being on 814 and Mill Pond. Do you remember that?
I remember asking this.
Okay, do you know what a Ford 150 truck looks like?
Yes.
Does that look anything like a Honda truck?
No.
No further questions.
Recross.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Thank you. You may step down, Mr. Stevens. You wish him to be excused, Solicitor?
Yes, please, Your Honor.
Any objection?
No, sir.
You're also free to leave, sir. Any additional witnesses?
Yes, Your Honor, we call Michael Kathman to the stand, Your Honor.
Okay.
Please raise your right hand, place your left hand on the Bible. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the evidence you're about to give the court in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, please state your full name and spell your last name.
It's Michael Kathman, Kathman.
Mr. Kathman, where are you employed?
The Warren County Police Department.
And how long have you worked for him?
About 15 years.
Did you work for him in 2013?
Yes, sir.
And what do you do for them?
I'm currently a lieutenant in our support services division.
What does that mean exactly? What do your duties entail real quick?
Currently, I'm the supervisor of our victim services and regulatory units.
Do you have the capability and do y'all maintain records for in-service calls?
Yes,
Do you have the capability of searching those records?
yes, sir.
And were you asked to do any kind of search in relation to this case?
I was.
Tell this jury about what you were asked to do.
I was asked to find any harassment reports that had been filed by Sidney or Tammy Moore in 2013 or 2014.
Who asked you to do that, sir?
You, sir.
I'm sorry?
You did, sir.
And did you in fact perform that search, sir?
I did.
And you did it for both 2013 and 14?
I searched by their names, Sidney Moore and Tammy Moore, so it gave me anything that was their name had come up in a report. So no matter how old it was, when I opened and looked, and anything that wasn't 2013 or 14, I didn't look at it.
Okay. So you're able to actually search your system, your database. What's your database called, by the way?
P1, Premier 1, it's a Motorola system.
So you're actually able to search your database for any time that Sidney Moore would have called police for a harassment complaint?
Anytime a report would have been done, yes.
Okay. And it would list him as the complainant?
Complainant, victim, if I search him by name, it'll pull up anything as victim, suspect, complainant, witness, his name on any report.
And the same is true for Tammy Moore. Anytime a report would have been generated for any harassment complaint she made?
Yes, sir.
You would have been able to find that in 2013 to 14?
Yes.
All right. There was testimony by the defense that they installed a camera system because they were being harassed on 12/21 of 2013. I want you to tell this jury how many complaints Sidney or Tammy Moore made prior to 12/21/2013.
In 2013, I didn't find any.
How many complaints for the whole year did Sidney or Tammy Moore make to police that they were being harassed?
In 2013?
Yes.
I didn't find any.
Okay, none. So how about 2014?
I found a good amount in 2014.
More than 2?
Yes.
More than 3?
Yes, I'd say over 10.
Over 10 complaints listing Sidney or Tammy as the complainants?
I would say that there was a good amount, yes.
But those were all in 2014, right?
Yes.
So clearly they're not afraid to call police when they're being harassed.
No, it appeared that there was a good amount of contact with law enforcement, yes, sir.
And all that contact was in 2014?
Yes.
Please answer any questions the defense may have, sir.
Cross-examine.
Of course.
Sir, take your time.
Is it Kathman?
Kathman, yes, sir.
Kathman? Okay, just very few questions. All right, you said there were a number of complaints regarding harassment in 2014, if I understood you correctly.
Yes, that is correct.
All right. Now, and your testimony is that there were none in 2013, is that right?
I did not find any listings in here, Tammy, in 2013, no.
Okay. Now, again, that would just indicate when a formal report is filed, correct?
Yes.
Okay. If police responded and a report was not filed, it would not show up in your system, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And again, Miss Elvis went missing.
Well, you can expand on that. If the police were called, it would show up under a call for service. It would not show up as an incident report being written if one wasn't written, no.
That's right. Okay. So it would not be classified as a harassment report if a formal report was not made.
Correct.
All right. Now, and again, Miss Elvis went missing on the 17th, so that would leave the end of 17th through basically another couple of weeks in December between the time Miss Elvis went missing and the end of the year. Correct?
Yes.
And you're saying you had no formal calls at that point, right?
I didn't find any reports that they had filed.
No formal reports, but you saw a multitude of them go leading into the year 2014, correct?
I believe the first one was around January 5th.
Okay, first part of the year.
Yes, sir.
No more questions.
Read the record.
Nothing further, sir.
You wish this witness to be excused?
Please, Your Honor.
Any objection, Mr. Boucher?
Just a second.
John? I'll be there, sir.
No further questions.
All right, and you don't have any objection to him being excused?
Absolutely.
You're free to step down.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Sir. Any additional witnesses, Mr. Hill?
Your Honor, the state has nothing further.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, this will conclude the evidentiary portion of this process. You are still not at liberty, of course, to begin your deliberations, discuss this case, and really not at liberty to change that open mind that we talked about that you brought with you when you came, and I urge you to keep that open mind, and I'm sure you've done that. Because we still have two very important portions that remain. One, of course, the closing remarks of the attorneys, and then the charge on the law. And in fact, one of the oath that you took is that your verdict would be consistent with the evidence and the law. And in order for it to be consistent with the law, you can't start your deliberations until I tell you to. So if you do, you've violated that oath, and I know you're not going to do that. I ask you to go to your jury room. There's some matters of law that I need to take up. When we return, we will commence the third portion, and then following that, I'll give you the charge on the law. Please retire to your jury. And we will continue. Thank you very much. Now, any motions from the state at this point, sir?
We don't have anything else.
Thank you, sir. Well, Sheriff, we have to get from you, sir.
Just renew our motion for directed verdict and renew all the motions made at this point.
And thank you very much. And I think a rule that certainly there was sufficient evidence, considering the light most favorable to the state, it closed the state's case, that the jury should go forward to the jury. And considering the evidence and the light most favorable to the defendant, there's additional evidence in the support of conviction. Of course, it all depends, as we know, what the jury concludes to be the true facts in this dispute. So, again, based on all the testimony, I think that it is a matter for the jury, and I would respectfully deny your motion. And again, your motion concerning this trial, I would reiterate those remarks that I made to that motion, and I would respectfully deny that motion as well. Any specific requests to charge from the state?
No, Your Honor, whatever
The conspiracy charge is generally, the only difference in reading the statute requires some overt act by one of the parties. As I read that statute, That is the only difference from the general conspiracy, because the general conspiracy doesn't require an overt act.
That's my understanding.
So I'll add that distinction. It doesn't have to be by both. It has to be by only one and only one of the acts.
Which states that, right, Judge?
Okay. Any specific requests, Charles?
No, I believe the court, maybe one of our prior hearings already indicated what you're going to charge on this specific issue, but we would see it as to the circumstantial evidence charge.
Yeah, I'm going to charge the I'm going to charge what we originally used to charge, and then they did away with that consistency with every particular respect, and they reiterated, and that's my charge. It includes that.
Is that the Logan charge? Right?
That's the charge. It says they may rely on it, but they have to prove each one beyond a reasonable doubt, and each must be perfectly consistent with each other in every respect and point conclusively to the guilt of the defendant. Okay? Anything else?
No, Your Honor.
I'm not going to charge, I don't think there's any necessity to specify that the statement, because the statement was just like everybody else who testified in my ruling, because I didn't find that there was any in custodial interrogation. I'll be happy you want me to charge that it has to be freely and voluntarily, but I don't think there's any evidence of that being not voluntary, because he went there freely and voluntarily. But whatever you want, I'll do what you want me to do. I just will not include the Miranda warnings because I don't find that they were required.
What Your Honor's making sense, out of an abundance of caution, since we did raise that objection.
Well, I mean, I'll leave it to you. I mean, if you want me to charge it, I will certainly charge that any statement that you consider it has to be, and if you don't find it to be freely and voluntarily, you can't consider it.
Out of an abundance of caution, I think you should probably charge it.
I will, but I will not include, I will not mention anything about it. It has to be, they have to determine Miranda warnings.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Anything else specifically that you can think of?
No, Your Honor.
Now, and I know this is a guesstimate, I generally add at least 30 minutes to 45 minutes to what I'm about to ask. How long does the state plan to argue?
About 30 minutes, Judge.
Okay, 45 an hour. That is nothing more than what I did as a lawyer and what I've seen for 26 years. We do the best we can, but when you get it, the beauty of this whole process, and you've all witnessed that, is what I love about it in every respect. You've got professionals that are very passionate about what they do, and I respect that in every way. And so the only thing I do have, and I mentioned this, Bob Wallace was a solicitor in Berkeley when I started. He used to say there's no statement that would be worth anything if it's not at least an hour. Well, years passed, and I don't know whether you all remember, but Miami Vice used to be, no, LA Law was what it was. And I remember at a seminar I attended, the speaker said, what's the proper length of a closing argument? And some said an hour, 30 minutes, 15 minutes. This lawyer said 7 minutes and 28 seconds. And everybody looked puzzled. He said, go time the closing arguments on LA Law. That's what it is, and that's what people expect. So I don't put a time limit. I have a three-peat rule. You can repeat yourself. The third one, I may say, let's move on, okay? But that's the only restriction. But I don't generally do that if you're within, I mean, I've only done that twice in 26 years, and it went into an hour and 15 minutes. So, okay. But so I'm very liberal with that. I'm not opposed to that. That's also the plan for lunch. I would say my charge 45 minutes at the outset, so probably looking at an hour and 45 minutes. I'd say 1:30 if we say. If that works.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, y'all need a few moments to collect your thoughts. Are y'all ready to roll?
I'm ready, Judge.
Mr. Chet?
Just a couple more shots.
We'll be at ease. We'll take a stretch break for everybody because we're going to be here for a while. Let's plan to be back in about 5 minutes before.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.